like, nah, you are where you are. You're giving 60% when you have 120 in you. Why? Because you never made a decision. Those of you in this room, you already there. Your problem is this is stuff you don't want to give up to go. Listen to me, pound for pound, any agent in the room, pound for pound, motivational speaker, pound for pound, entrepreneur, pound for pound, athlete, pound for pound, weightlifter, pound for pound, whatever you do, I guarantee you when you do it, nobody can do it like you do it. The problem is you don't hardly do it.
Welcome back to CFB Nation. I am your host, NinoBrown. This is CFBPrime. This is going to be a very special episode. I got my guy, the Gridiron Scholar, John Laub, in the building. How we doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. It is the summer of football. I love this time of the year. You know, I'm a teacher, so I have plenty of time to work on my research, my writing. I get to talk fantasy football, content creator. So, you know, what are we, 45 days? I think I do a thing on X. How many days away from the season? I think we're 45 days away from kickoff.
Can't come any faster, John. I appreciate you taking time out. It's your off season, but you're still always busy. Like you said, you're a teacher. It's on your vacation, but you're always grinding, always doing something. So I appreciate your time coming on here and talking with us at CFB Nation.
Thank you. You're welcome, buddy.
All right. Are you ready to run the gauntlet? I'm going to hit you with some rapid fire before we go through. You know, we're going to be talking to some wide receivers outside of the top three. All right. First one. How many games will UConn Huskies win in 2024?
My heart says 6, but my mind says 5. So I'll give them 5 victories.
All right. I love it. Next one up. With their schedule and returning 65+% of offensive production, is Missouri a serious SEC champion candidate?
The SEC is so loaded, my friends. I mean, I'm on the Mississippi bandwagon, so I don't know if they're legitimate. Georgia, I mean, don't we have to give Georgia a spot in the championship game already? So then it comes down to Mississippi. I have Missouri at number 4 in the conference, but their schedule isn't that bad when you look at it. You know, the Oklahoma's at home. Mm-hmm. Their hardest game might be Texas A&M on the road, and I'm not sure Texas A&M is all that good. They should be 9-2, maybe 10-1.
That's got to be in the realm of things when it comes down to the final fight. So
I forgot they do play Alabama on the road. It's Alabama and Texas A&M. Those are the 2 worry spots.
I'm with you. All right. Utah Utes will win the Big 12 in year 1.
I don't think so. I like them. I like their style. But you are talking about a whole new conference. Mm-hmm. There are some explosive offenses out there. There's also some teams that can get physical with them. Yeah. I think this is different than the Pac-12. We knew the Pac-12, and I'm not trying to be mean, but they're more athletic, skilled, a little soft on the defensive side. Yep. I think the Big 12, some of the top teams, Iowa State, Oklahoma State, TCU, I think they'll be able to get more physical with Utah. And I don't think I think BYU is always a tough game. So I don't personally see it in the Big 12 in year 1, but they are in the top 3 without question.
I agree with the top 3. Everybody seems, I know it's that time, the click time because it's the off season, but everybody seems to just already just anoint them the champions year 1. They haven't even played a game. I mean, I feel like Kansas State is like the same mirror team to them. Except they got a mobile quarterback, but they figure it out.
Yeah, I think Kansas State is tougher. I do. You're right about the quarterback. They just don't have the quarterback. But you know what? I think Iowa State with Rocco Beck, they're going to be tough out with Abu Samu. I mean, they go to Utah, so that's tough for the Cyclones. But that's a physical game, man. And you know what? UCF on the road, if it's hot, if they get one of those hot Florida days in Central Florida, dude, and you're talking about a team coming from the mountains, I mean, that's going to be a tough game in Central Florida.
Yeah, they usually have the advantage with the air up there, but it's going to be humid. They're going to be dealing with all that heavy breathing, you know?
Yeah,
I don't know if Cam Rising's ready.
Yes.
All right, next one. Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe will get himself an invite to New York.
Without question, dude. That's not even, like, he's a lock. If they invite 5, sometimes they invite 4, right? If they invite 5, he is a lock. Alabama should go 9-2 at worst, right? That's a bad year. I know they lost some talent, but Kalen DeBoer is too good of a coach. He did a great job with Michael Penix. And I would argue Jalen Milroe is ahead of where Michael Penix was at Indiana. Then DeBoer brings him into Washington and he blasts it off. If we can take a significant step forward, Jalen Milroe is going to be a monster this year at Alabama.
I'm a little off on the record. I got him with maybe another L or 2 in the mix. I think
8-3.
I just think that the first year, it's not all his guys. He lost a lot of such.
Yeah.
He's got a couple guys, but he lost a lot of guys that came with Saban, right? They bounced.
Yes.
Who's going to be the de facto 1? Is it going to be Gurmy Bernard or not? But like, there's a lot of.
So.
I think so too, but there's just a lot of like undefined. You know what I mean? So I don't know if he could come out year 1 and be swinging for the fences, but it is feasible. I just have him a little bit lower. I think if they take that step, you're right there.
I think Nino, the numbers are going to be sick. He might be 8-3.
Right.
But you know what? If they're 8-3, he's going to throw the ball a lot more because they're playing. So, I mean, his numbers, I will say this. When I sat down in February to do my rankings, I didn't realize I knew he was very good. But when you really sit down, you look at the numbers from 2 months since the season, I was like, wow, he was a lot better than I thought he was or remembered. And DeBoer's a better coach.
It's to me, it's which Milroe are we going to get? Are you going to get the Milroe from the first half of the season? Or are you going to get the Milroe after the benching and all of that happened and he came back? Like, which one you're going to, if you're going to get the down the stretch and he's going to take a step, well, okay, now we got a conversation. But if he's going to come out as the first 5 games of Alabama last season.
No, it's bad.
Yeah, so there was 2 versions of him. Yes, he was able to manipulate him, get himself, and find himself and go in the right direction towards the end. All right, next one up. 6 wide receivers will be drafted in the first round of the 2025 draft.
Keep dreaming. I have a better chance of being a U.S. Senator next year by this time than there are 6 wide receivers with first. I'll say this, Nino, you're getting an inside scoop. I think the running back class is stronger than the wide receiver class by far. I think this wide receiver class is significantly less than last year's. It's less on the top end, and it's not as deep.
Okay. I'm not going to argue with you there. Give me John Laub's sleeper player of 2024 college football season.
I think he's just not getting pressed. And now I've been talking about him for too long, so he might not be a sleeper, but I'm going with Kyren Lacy, LSU.
Okay.
6'2", 213, dude. 4-star prospect. Went to Louisiana Lafayette. Earned his stripes. Moves over to LSU with Brian Kelly. Dude, he played behind Brian Thomas, Malik Neighbors. What? Both of them were first-round picks. I think, Thomas go off 24 to the Jaguars, so top 24. Kyren Lacy, and if you've been listening to Brian Kelly, Nino, he is on top of the stadium shouting.
Yeah.
And I listened to the drum beat. He loves Kyren Lacy. Garrett Nussmeier, he's no Jaden Daniels. I'm not foolish. But he's good enough to get the ball to Kyren Lacy in his hands, especially with Brian Kelly calling plays. Kelly's offense is produced.
Oh, absolutely. Kelly's offense is definitely produced everywhere he's been. I think Nussmeier's bottled up, okay? And he's ready to just release. Maybe because I'm a little swayed. My guy Andy Pham has been talking him up to me for almost a year now. But I see it. And you see in the little glimpses of what he's shown, Nussmeier can't perform. And he's a leader. You just see it in the way he talks to people, the way he talks to his teammates. He's not going to give you 5,000 yards. I agree there. But there's a chance he could put up 3,500 plus in this year. Put himself in that conversation for one of these top QBs.
I think he has a chance of 4,000 in that offense.
Thank you.
I'm not convinced their run game is there yet, and I'm not convinced the defense is all that improved. I mean, it was atrocious last year, so they have nowhere to go but up. I think Nussmeier is going to be in some shootouts.
I think they're going to, with the movement of Perkins Jr. back into being a downhill linebacker instead of doing whatever the hell they would have decided.
I don't know what they were doing last year, dude.
Stupid. You seen him as a freshman eat in his natural habitat. Now let's go put him somewhere else. Oh, he's not performing the same way. What happened in the last 5 games? Bring him back to where he was supposed to be. Here he is. All of a sudden he's back.
You know what? Nino kept killing me because I watched so much LSU because I had Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas scouting. I could not believe, because even though we know them as wide receiver LSU's been terrific in the secondary for decades. I kept watching the games. I'm like, where are the defensive? Like, I just can't believe this is happening. They've got to have talent in the secondary. I just think it was really poorly coached.
Yeah, that back half was terrible. I was like, oh, Deuce was supposed to be a thing. He didn't end up panning out for them. It was just like, I don't know who's the one. They've had an elite guy.
That's not normal. Yeah, I mean, that was not normal for a Tiger secondary. That was terrible.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, John. It was good chopping up with you with some random questions, but let's get into the body of the show. Let's talk about some wide receivers outside of the quote-unquote big three, Burden, McMillian, Stewart, right? I want to talk about some other guys that have legitimate NFL talent, and with another successful season in college football, they could raise their draft stock immensely. Obviously, the first guy on the board we're going to talk about is Ohio State wide receiver Emeka Egbuka, right? 6'1", 203. Now, last year had some injury, games. He missed a few games due to injury. Still managed 500 yards, 41 receptions, had 4 touchdowns. It was the year before for me that made it shine. He was surrounded by guys and was just constantly putting up big numbers. 74 receptions, 1,100 yards, 10 touchdowns. And this kid is an absolute threat on special teams, and they haven't really had to use him since freshman year. John, talk to me about Emeka Egbuka, his route running, and where he falls in the class right now for you.
I have him at number 2. I know you said the big 3. I'll tell you, I have one of them. I have some questions, but I love Egbuka. You have to watch film from both years. You have to go back to 2022. And then you have to watch in 2023. He was injured. The offense didn't work with Will Howard. Marvin Harrison was fed the rock. There were times, it was so bizarre, that Ohio State offense at times, because obviously McCord wasn't good enough to spread the ball around and really be as effective as, Justin Fields and CJ Stroud. And they've had tremendous quarterbacks. He locked, and then there were times where you watch and you're like, why is that Marvin Harrison have 1 target after 2 quarters? And I'm telling you, the coaching staff for Marvin Harrison must have just freaked out on McCord. And then it would just be, he would just start peppering Harrison. So Egbuka got lost. He comes back. I think he made the right decision. I don't think he would have been a first-round pick last year. No. It was just too loaded of a class. He's clearly the alpha male sitting right now. I like Jeremiah Smith. There's no question how good that young man is. Carnell Tate hasn't showed us anything. Are you really going to pepper the freshman with that many targets? Not likely, especially when you have those 2 running backs what
Right.
you're going to do, I think Emeka gets 135 targets.
Woo!
And I think people are going to see that they're back. And I don't think Will Howard is necessarily a better thrower than McCord, but he moves the offense more efficiently. He'll get the ball into the right people's hands. Yeah, maybe he'll miss Ibuka a couple times deep, or maybe he'll overthrow, but they'll have more opportunities. Howard will get them first downs with his legs when they need it. And then those two running backs, I mean, can you be a safety and really cheat with those two backs all the time on that field? No,
you got to be in the box. You got to be in the box, especially with Howard's mobility to add to that. So now you got three guys that can run at any time. So what does that mean? You hit the slot guy 70% of the time when you're rolling out, because he's the guy that's drawing the coverage across field with you.
Yeah, and that's Ibuka.
Yeah, I mean, he was in the slot 70%.
And I do think, you know what's crazy? You know, Ibuka was graded higher than Harrison coming out of high school. Now, I'm not a big high school grader. I think there's errors. But still, the point is, when they were both 18, the scouting community thought Emeka was better than Marvin Harrison. It's crazy thinking about it now, but it does tell you that Ibuka has tons of talent. Now, this is the year he reaches it.
All you heard about coming out of high school was football IQ, field vision, route running, elite hands. He showed all of that as a freshman and a sophomore. And like you said, he kind of got lost in the mix of guys last year. All you heard about early on was Marvin Harrison could be a first pick in the draft. They had these two freshmen coming in, and Ennis and Connell Tate, that was supposed to take the world by storm. And Emeka Ibuka was like, what about me? What about this guy, right? He also he didn't have the privy of being, you know, the right-hand man in McCord since prep school. Like Marvin Harrison went to prep school in McCord, so they had that connection. So when push came to shove, he was going to Harrison whether it was open or not. That was just the way it worked.
Yes.
Like I said, after the injuries, he came back spotty here and there. I think he's going to come back like an absolute behemoth. I think defenses are going to gear up for Jeremiah Smith because Ryan Day is blowing smoke up everybody's behind, saying that this kid is going to be their guy this year off the rip. I don't believe in any of that. I believe that he's going to be a decoy. Yes, he'll get his. I think that Tate will have more of an impact than Jeremiah Smith will this year. But the way it's going to work with those running backs, the way Chip Kelly likes to – they didn't bring Chip Kelly in to go throw the ball deep all the time. That's what he does. He schemes up this crazy run game. They're going to do that. Yes. And this kid in the slot, in the play action, is going to dominate.
And, Nino, I've said this a bunch of times. Ryan Day got sick of losing to Michigan 3 years in a row. He knows they has to get physical. What did he do? He literally carbon copied Michigan. I'm going to run the ball down your throat with Brian Kelly. I got two of the top 4 backs in the nation. I mean, it is insanity that he got Quinshon Junkins and Travion Henderson to stay. I mean, he's telegraphing to us, I'm going to run the ball 450 times at these two young men. And then I got Will Howard's going to get 70 carries minimum. I mean, and that leaves the rest for Ibuka.
And you still have Peoples as a true freshman who's probably going to get a little bit of the rock, James. People still
early on he will. Early on, definitely.
Yep. So, like, now you're going to be everybody thinks, you know, they got the shiny new toys and all these big weapons, and they've been wide receiver you for a minute, but I think this year it's going to be a little different.
It's Smash Mouth.
Yeah. Ibuka is a wide receiver, but he's going to be kind of like that H-back. They're going to be all over the place with this guy. So I think
you still need a wide receiver in a big game, so they'll use him.
Absolutely.
I don't think they're going to use. They're not going to do the Olave, Garrett Wilson. You know, they're not going to have that double Ibuka and Harrison 2 years ago. They just don't have the quarterback right now to do it.
They might next year.
That next year, yes.
With Julian. So, all right. Next guy I want to talk about is a guy who transferred over from Georgia Military School. Year 1 had to figure some things out, but year 2 at Utah State, Jalen Royals just blew up. 71 receptions, 1,000 yards, 15 touchdowns. This kid figured it out how to kind of play that Deebo Samuel type physicality at the line of scrimmage, right? He was getting off. My guy Andy was telling me, they wanted him to get more physical and learn how to get off the line faster. And he was horrible at it. And he figured it out and came back the next year and he was dominant. And he just started, I know it's the Mountain West, but he started cooking. 15 touchdowns. Like I said, what are your thoughts on Jalen Rose? And if he can duplicate that this year, where can he fall in this NFL draft class?
Well, first, we were talking off air about UConn football, and we opened the segment up today. I saw Jalen Royals against UConn in the rent last year, and he had 3 touchdowns. I think he had 8 receptions. He destroyed UConn that game. And I immediately wrote him up in the waiver wire column for college fantasy football. Then he had 2 more 100-yard receiving days. I mean, he literally blew up. Mm-hmm. He ends up with over 1,000 yards on 71 receptions, 15.2 yards per catch. But he had 15 touchdowns. I always worried about a G5 wide receiver transferring. But he does have the length in the arms. He does play more often in the slot. I'm hoping, Nino, we see him more on the outside in those one-on-one matchups more, at least at the Z. Maybe I don't think he's an X per se, but I would like him. Also, it was unfortunate. Well, that's allegedly Blake Anderson. He's been on personnel leave for Title IX violations. What? And I don't know anything legal. I don't have any insight, so that's not for me to say. The reality is, though, he was very good for a passing game at Arkansas State and at Utah State. He was very good. I just wrote about Jalen Royals literally today, and I moved them down my rankings because of the uncertainty of the Aggies right now. I don't know what that team will look like. I don't know what the mood is when they come back onto campus. My guess is Anderson, the way it looks, he's got the lawyers, and they say it was unfair. So we'll see, but I don't think he coaches at Utah State again. So that changes the dynamics of the offense. So I like him. I have my eye on him, but I need to see a lot before I can say he's an NFL guy.
Okay, that's fine. I agree. That whole head coaching debacle that's going on over there. Now the interim coach is a defensive guy, kind of swings the pendulum a little bit. I was a little bit nervous with Petrus being the quarterback. So that scares me a little bit as well. So it's like,
yes.
We'll have to see what they're going to game plan, but they lost a lot of guys in the portal. They did bring back Fazul. I think it was the running back. He ended up coming back to them. So we'll have to see. Royals could just be the only guy on that offense to get the targets. So he could just be the benefactor of that as well.
Yes.
All right. Next guy I want to talk about. I'm a big fan of Agent Zero. Antonio Williams, Clemson, 5'11", 195 pounds. Freshman year, he blew up on the scene. Almost 60 receptions, 600 yards, 4 touchdowns as a true freshman. Last year, again, another guy hampered by injury, right? Kind of was a down year for Clemson. Klubnik was low. I think Klubnik and Dabo had just had enough of each other, weren't seeing eye to eye. Dude was doing whatever he wanted. Like, you brought in the top offensive coordinator. You're not letting him cook with me.
That was crazy, dude. I don't understand what he did, but that's Dabo.
Yeah. So, like, I think it was like week 10, John. Dabo called the play in. You could see Klubnik, didn't even run that play because when he went back to the sideline, he went left and Dabo was waiting to chew his ass out. And at that point, I was like, Klubnik's cashed out. Him and Dabo aren't seeing eye to eye. It's not working out. Obviously, you can tell it's not working out. Garrett Riley's offense went down like 145 yards a game. It was terrible.
It was crazy, dude. It was so frustrating watching that offense because there was talent. And you could see Dabo literally, I think he took one arm and he tied it behind Riley's back. Like literally, what I don't understand is just a little off topic. Why are you bringing in a guy like Riley if you're just going to say you can't run your offense? Then bring in a guy who will do exactly what you want. Like it doesn't make sense. Like if you're going to bring in the young, hot coordinator, then you say, here's the keys to the car, make it happen. And if he doesn't, you fire him. But why bring him in and put one hand behind his back, Nino? Doesn't make any sense.
Oh, I'll tell you what. My theory is this. They brought him in to silence the crowd. The crowd had enough of Dabo shit. right?
I think there's some truth to that. Yeah.
So they brought him in. And he probably got told he was if Dabo is the guy out, if he wants to leave, if he's tired of doing it, that Garrett Riley would have the chance to be the successor to Dabo, right? We're gonna bring you in. You're the hot guy. We'll let you be. Dabo says, "What? I'm not going anywhere, bro. I'm the guy who runs this ship. I drive this bus. You can tell me every play you want to tell me. We're still going to run it my way. I don't give a shit how you want." I think we see a difference this year because I think the heat on Davos is a little bit hotter this season. Again, after having a terrible year last year and the people are still chirping.
I mean, I think there's heat on Dabo, but I'm not down and stuff. But I know that's a pressure cooker now. They have high expectations.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to show improvement, and I do think he needs to show improvement on the offensive side of football.
Well, then here we go with my guy, Williams. Right now, it's in a loaded room, right? I understand that. They got Brown. They're bringing in Bryant Wesco, right? TJ Moore. A lot of these youthful guys, Randall's there. So there are a lot of guys that are talented, and we've seen some of these guys already perform. Everything I read, he's healthy again, 100%, back to normal. Klubnik seems to be in a good spot, what they have portrayed via the internet, okay? Because I'm not there. Yeah. What are your thoughts on Williams if he plays a full year and we get 2 years ago's Klubnik and not last year's?
I still have Antonio Williams number 15 on my Debbie rankings. That is still very malleable because this season, to me, is going to dictate the possible NFL future. Mm-hmm. He cannot afford to have another down year and then have any stock after his freshman year. He clearly was injured last year. There's no question in my mind. So if Klubnik and Riley convince Dabo to open it up a little bit and allow Klubnik, I think, more – is it the right freelance with the football as far as use his athletic ability, and those receivers can stay healthy, I think Antonio Williams bounces back. I do look at the roster, and I think he's the best receiver. It's close, but I do think he's the most talented receiver right now on that roster. Mm-hmm. What is shocking in general, Dabo for years was very good at finding, coaching up, and getting the football into these receivers' hands. That has not been true basically since T. Higgins left, right?
Thank you.
I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
I think he needs to nourish Antonio Williams and make sure this young man is successful. It'll be important for the program. It'll help him get more wins. And, there's a point in your career as a coach, you have to continue to get talent. But if your system isn't producing talent, then they're not. It's a magnet. It's a cat, like the chicken and the egg.
Yeah.
I need success to bring in more recruits. Once I stop having success, those top-level recruits don't. And right now, I think that pipe is busted. He's got to put it back together with some glue and tape and get that wide receiver. But he also has to recruit a different type. He needs some speed. He needs some slick-footed guys. But we'll see what happens.
See, so another factor and why I think the passing game takes it, you don't have a two-headed backfield like you had last year with Shipley and Moffitt. Moffitt's going to be the guy, and I know Haynes, and I'm going to mess up his name, as Zuma, the other freshman coming in, David Zuma, they might get some time, some touches here, right? But they're not ready to go for a buck 150 attempts like Shipley was, right? And Shipley probably would have got more had he not got injured. So I feel as though Moffitt will get his, but I feel they're going to have to kind of rely on the pass game more. Nonetheless, Dabo needs a quarterback to show up because outside of Klubnik, the future behind him and recruits is very, very dim and sleek. It's not much behind him. They need a guy to show up to draw more interest back. I think Antonio Williams healthy in this system. Last year also, I wanted to pat in. They had him out of the first year was 80%, I believe, in the slot. He was always
mostly slot freshman.
In 5 games last year, he played almost 40% out wide. I love that. Move him around.
Yeah, they got to move him around. They can't just keep. But he can't sit on the X all long.
No, no.
Z, you're right. Move him around.
Because outside of, I mean, if you look at Randall, what's Randall? 6'3", 6'2"? Adam Randall?
Yeah.
So he's not the biggest guy either. You know what I mean? They don't have a lot of biggest. I mean, Brian Westcoast is tall, but he's a beanpole. He's a freshman. He coming in, so it's going to take a little bit for him to put some mass on. So they're going to have to move around, because if not, they lock onto where he could be, right? And you can bump him off the line at the slot. You can throw a linebacker around somebody just to slow him down. And that now, if nobody else is open, everything's screwed up for him. So they're going to have to move around. But I think his talent, in the small sample size we've seen in the freshman year, I kind of throw out last year. He wasn't healthy. He only played 5 games. That offense was shit. Like, it was a combination of a lot of things for him. It didn't work out. But you're right. If he doesn't put another productive year on the map, I think everybody has to. Yeah, everybody has to drop him. You have to, because you have more bad than you have good, right?
Yeah, I mean, if he doesn't have a productive season, I think as a Devy asset, he's done.
I think this guy, depending on the Klubnik play and the play calling, what Dabo, I think he can be an 800 to 1,000 yard receiver.
I agree. There should be with Klubnik. Klubnik is a decent quarterback. Excuse me. So there is no reason he can't, other than Dabo holding him back.
And I hopefully Dabo loosens up the rope and we get 1 3/4 arms instead of just 1, right? So let's see. Next guy up, Colorado State wide receiver, Torrey Horton. 6'2", 175 pounds. We're talking back-to-back years with over 1,100 yards, back-to-back years with 8 touchdowns. He stacked an extra 20-something receptions this year, almost had 196 receptions. The year before was 71. This guy's an elite route runner, but he finds a way to win in his routes, right? He's not an elite cut guy or like I should say twitch guy, but he has enough to get in and out of his routes. Once he gets ahead of you, doesn't have top end speed, but he doesn't really get caught from behind. And what I love the most about this guy is he is unbelievable catch radius. He catches the ball elitely out, full arm extension, fingertips, almost every single game. What are your thoughts on Horton? And if he could put together another 1,108 touchdown year, he's got to get some love here, right?
I like Horton a ton. I have him number 11 in my Devy rankings.
All right.
And that includes freshmen, and sophomores. But I think in the class of 2025, I have Horton number 7. I don't have that file open. I'm looking at the overall Devy. What's going to happen? Let's assume in this Jay Norvell offense, and people don't remember, he was at Nevada and he had tremendous numbers. Romeo Doubs was one of his wide receivers there. If he has another great season, there's no reason to think he won't. You just mentioned how great he's been the last 2. And this is a passing offense. Mm-hmm. What should happen is he's going to be put into models. The models are going to love him.
Oh, yeah.
Now, they will hurt him for like teammate, his teammates in the G5. But here's what his overall numbers before this year. He leads all college, at least at the FBS level. That's 133 teams or 134. 239 career receptions, over 3,200 yards receiving, 26 touchdowns, over 13 yards per catch. If he ends up with over 300 career receptions and 4,500 yards and like 39 touchdowns, he's going to break a lot of models. I think right now I have a day 3 because he's a G5, but if he goes out and does the season I expect, I would think he's a late day 2. He has the arm length. I mean, his arms on tape look extraordinarily long. Now part of it, he's 6'2" on Colorado State. We'll see if he's actually 6'2". That's fudge.
Yeah.
That's always fudge. But let's say he's 6'1" and he has that big wingspan. They're going to really like him. There's a little chirping about him. I'm surprised there's not more, but I'm surprised he didn't go into the portal. I really thought he might, like Alabama or someone like that would have liked him, but I didn't look enough deeply. Maybe he just really liked Norvell, and I did look at some quotes. Norvell allegedly met with his family, his parents, talked about getting Torrey in the NFL, what he's going to do for him. So I think it's all there, and he convinced Torrey to stay at Colorado State.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that once the other guy on the other side hit the portal, I can't think of the gentleman's name, but the other wide receiver 2 on that, but he hit the portal. He was out. So now it's going to be a freshman coming in on the opposite side to him. Target. He's the guy, right?
Target, they're going to be there.
Yeah, I don't know how much money Colorado State has in the NIL, but I'm willing to bet for the football side, he's probably getting about 50% of that NIL money that they have at Colorado State to give to the football team because he's that guy for them. So, like they say, money talks. You stated already, numbers lie. I mean, men lie, women lie. Numbers don't lie. You state the numbers. If he keeps stacking them like that, I mean, there's just no way that people can't talk about him. And then, again, when you get to the underwear Olympics, on the combine and these pro days, he's going to shine, and you're just going to keep climbing. There's a chance. I'm not saying he could go as high as Tank Dell, but I think he could have a Tank Dell rise come end of the season, combine, and all of that.
Oh, without question. I would actually say if I was grading Tank Dell before his final year at Houston, I have a higher grade on Torrey Horton now than Tank Dell exploded that last year for the Cougars. I liked him. I mean, he was a big CFF asset, but I didn't expect him to be an NFL star right away because he was so small. So I have Horton as a higher grade at the same step of their college career.
You heard it here first, folks. If you like Tank Dell, you might want to go watch some Torrey Horton.
Ooh.
All right.
Watch some tape. You're going to like the tape, folks.
If you don't, then you might be Stevie Wonder.
Yeah,
I don't know. Last guy on the docket.
Wait, I want to see one thing. This has got to be true. I'll tell you something I'm looking for. Rams football. Let me just see one thing here.
He's got his quarterback too, right?
Here, September 14th, Colorado State hosts Colorado.
Oh, another one.
And I'll tell you right now, Dion is going to tell Travis Hunter he's your man for the whole game. Shadow him. That will be a battle for the ages.
We didn't get to see that one last time, right?
What?
We didn't get to see that one last time because he got injured in the first quarter.
Yes. So on September 14th, 7:30 Eastern time, I will have the popcorn ready, as Terrell Owens would say, and I will be watching Travis Hunter versus Torrey Horton and see how that battle comes out.
I wonder how much offense Travis Hunter is going to be playing in that game because he's going to be running quite a bit.
Hey, here, you want to hear something? My dog just came in, so I'm petting him. If everyone sees me, look down. If I was on the FSGA prop bets draft, and it's a great draft, it's really fun, dude. I got plus 5,000 for Travis Hunter to win the Heisman. I'm just telling you right now.
Wow.
I've been reading Dion is starting to talk about Travis. Dion actually called Travis Hunter Charles Woodson the other day. Anyone who doesn't know, I'm old. I don't know if you realize how good Charles Woodson was when he won the Heisman, folks. He's a Hall of Fame corner. He was one hell of an NFL safety. He won Super Bowl with the Packers. I will say Travis Hunter, I actually think he's a better defensive back than receiver, and that's an interesting debate. But he's in that Champ Bailey, Charles Woodson, Darrell Green, if you remember him from the Washington Redskins in the 80s. Like, he's in a very select group of quarterbacks. So, if he's going to get 70 receptions, and he's going to be a shutdown corner, and if somehow Colorado wins 8 games, I'll take the 5,000 odds on Travis Hunter any day, dude.
John, there's not a chance in God's green earth that he's going to get 70 receptions. There's no way. They better be rolling out oxygen tanks every quarter for this kid. You don't think defense is going to tee up on like there's no way physically all year he can hand up with that. There's no way.
You want to hear my best stat I found in my research so far?
Go ahead.
Travis Hunter last year played over 1,000 snaps, 600 on defense, and 400 on offense. That might be that's like Chuck Bednarik of the Eagles in the 1960 when he was playing center and middle linebacker. I mean, that is a crazy number, dude. And didn't Hunter miss one game, 1.5 games, something like
games?
Two?
2 games. Yeah.
So
but they brought in Shepard. They brought in Cordell Russell. They brought in the other guy who had 100. Yeah, Levante Webster. They have a plethora now. They didn't have that. I know. Jimmy Horn Jr. So like they have dudes. I cannot see Travis Hunter getting 100 targets. You know what I mean? And then playing as he has to be DB1 because the young boy's gone now.
I look at barring injury, he's a top 5 NFL pick. Now, maybe the league goes away from cornerback right now because we know the value like most teams aren't. But man, I don't know if he's or Darrelle Revis. Like we're not gonna have a Revis Island anymore. But Hunter's in that bucket. Like he is literally in the all-time great prospects bucket. And he has the best hands of any of these cornerbacks.
No,
his hands are just.
His instincts are stupid too. Like he has those instincts. But out of all the guys you named, Bailey, Woodson, and Green, there was a couple other ones I think that were really good in college. When they went to the NFL, they played one position. The position that they were the best at. So it's like you can catch all the balls you want in college, but that's not going to do anything for you at the next level. Woodson played and he made some dumb. I get the comparison with Hunter because he made some dumb offensive. I will always remember that one-handed catch on the sideline. Like he just made some dumb catches for Michigan, and you were like, this guy plays defense. I don't even get it, but I can't see the kid would like. I mean, look, 1,000 snaps, 1,100 snaps. Like this kid's gonna make that. They're killing this kid. Like running back that get 300 snaps in college back-to-back years really don't have longevity in the NFL when they get there because they've been burned out at the college level, right?
Yeah. Hey, it seems crazy, but I'm just telling you the numbers. Like I'm blown away at a kid who can have that much stamina. I mean, just the stamina to be on the field is just incredible. Like that is literally just incredible.
Absolutely insane. All right. The last guy I want to talk about is Isaiah Bond, right? He's at Texas now, 5'11", 182 pounds. Transfers from Alabama, fresh off a 50 reception, close to 700-yard season, 4 touchdowns. I mean, I get why he transfers because it was late. Everything happened at the end after at the first quote-unquote portal had kind of closed down, and then it was portal 2.0 when every coach decided to switch teams. But he's entering a room that's got Silas Bolden, who was a stud for Oregon State, Matthew Golden, who was a stud for Houston. The kid was there last year, Jonte Cooks. They brought in so many freshmen, Niblett, Wingo, Freddie Dubuque. There's so much talent in that wide receiver room, not to mention Jadon Blue and Cedric Baxter in the backfield. And they got Niblett at tight end. They're loaded. Is he able to still be the wide receiver 1 and take that next step from Alabama to Texas and be one of these top receivers in a room that's super loaded, that kind of other guys that put up better production than he has right now?
Coming out of the spring, I definitely think he's the best receiver on the Texas roster. Training camp will decide it. But man, I love the little bit of tape we've seen. 4-star prospect coming out. If Sark likes him and he's the starter, what I like about Sark from like a fantasy developmental prospect coach, dude, he plays his guys.
Yeah.
Like Sark plays his guys. Like he doesn't play around. Like, I don't care. You're the 4th receiver. See that bench? Until there's an injury, you're on the bench. Like, there's not rotation. There's not like, give me targets because I'm a nice kid.
No.
These are my three guys, and you see, you're my guys, and you guys stink. Now, if I go down, then we'll have a discussion. Like one of my favorite, I'll go off topic for a bit. One of the best stories I ever heard of one of my favorite books. I love reading about the Big Red Machine, 1970s. And like, it's the 1976, the Reds are coming off the World Series. Sparky Anderson comes in first day of training camp. Got the whole, like 45 men in camp, right? And he just walks in, he goes, bench, Perez, Rose, Morgan. They're the kings around here. All you others, I don't give a shit. You ain't nothing.
I love it.
And I think that every time I see that Sark, hey, I got one back. You want the ball? You want the ball, you win the job. Like, there's no game. Just win the job, you get the ball. Like, look at Bijan was that way, and then he had Jonathan Brooks before the injury.
Yep.
No games are played. Like you just mentioned, C.J. Baxter's a great back. Jaden Blue's a great back, but you know what? Sark don't care.
No.
Jonathan Brooks is my guy. Like
Roshan Johnson got drafted being a backup, and he could have been a starter on any team, and he was like, nope, it's Bijan, and you can fill in when he's tired.
Yeah, when he's tired and we're up by 30.
Yeah, that's it. I don't want to get him hurt then, so you could play. That's about it.
Yeah, I mean, so if Bond comes out as the guy, I think the targets will be there. And I do think he's a good player. But I have to win the job.
Right, and that's what I think is. I feel like him and Silas Bowles are going to fight for that slot role, right? Like, he played outside a little bit, but if you think about it, he played 50% in the slot last year, so he was more in the slot than he was out in the Z.
I mean, I know people like Silas Bolden maybe more than I do. I just don't think Silas Bolden is the same athlete as Isaiah Bond. And I think Sark, coming from that Alabama pipeline, if you're working hard and you have the athleticism, he's going to put you on the field. I mean, those great Alabama teams with Saban, they were just uber athletic everywhere, right? Last year, Texas was really athletic. I mean, they had some boys on that team.
Yes, they did.
They did.
Yes, they did.
And they're going. So I think Bond is that guy athletically.
Because my concern is you hear everybody say, like, oh, well, Quinn Ewers' problem is he can't throw the deep ball. He held Xavier Worthy back and this and that. Well, I mean, Bond was the deep guy for Alabama, right? He was that dude, but how is that going to play in for Texas if Quinn Ewers can't throw the ball, right? So then people will say, oh, well, then you have Magic Golden. I love him, but I got a problem with the fact that you weren't the best receiver on your team last year.
Yeah, I think Golden made a mistake going to Texas. I think he should have gone somewhere else, but that's just I don't know
for another day.
I don't know if targets are going to be there, man.
That's what I'm saying. Like, where are you? Are you going to be the Z, the Y? Where are you lining up? Like, where do you fill in that role?
And Nino, we just discussed it. If Golden isn't in the top 3, Sark's going to say, "Sorry, young man, you made a mistake. You should have gone." Like he's just not going to care.
Right
now, if Golden gets in the top, which I would argue he's right now at that number 3, right?
Right.
But that could flip easily in training camp at Texas.
Absolutely. Do you think Bond would have been better to stay at Alabama?
Yes, especially with the board. No question about it.
Right, but he didn't know who was coming in at the time, right?
I get why he did it. But, yes, I would say if he had stayed with the board and and with Milroe,
they had that connection.
Better situation.
Right, yeah, they had the chemistry already. You obviously seen that coming down the stretch, right? And the Auburn game, all of that was like, okay, these two have developed. But where do you have him ranked right now in your wide receivers for this class?
In my Devy, I have Bond at 12 overall.
Okay. And where do you off the top? I know you don't have your list out, but off the top of your head for the class?
Oh, that's lower. Probably like 10.
Okay.
Or maybe 9, somewhere. I forget how many young. Maybe there's 3 underclassmen ahead of them right now.
Okay.
like freshmen or sophomores, mostly. So, well, Jeremiah Smith is the X, right? Like I don't usually have a freshman that high, but I do think Smith's that special.
Yeah.
So like he could be.
But will he get? Like we said, will he get it this year right off the rip?
No, that's a different story.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, John. Before we close out the show, are there any other wide receivers you want to talk about?
Just one that we haven't talked about, and I don't think people. I get my guys, and sometimes I'm wrong. I'll admit it. But you better watch Alec Ayamanor out of Stanford, dude. 6'2", 210. Watch the highlights. Travis Hunter and him do battle in that game. If you didn't watch it, I think it was 48-45 or 48-41. Stanford was down 28-0 at halftime. I turned off the TV, went to bed, yawned. I woke up at 6 o'clock here to write my Sunday column. And I'm like, Stanford won? And then I plugged in some highlight. Oh, my God. Hunter versus Ayamanor was unbelievable. Unbelievable. He went to, do you know a school named Deerfield in Massachusetts? Because he goes
I know Deerfield.
Yeah. So he's a Canadian sprinter.
Okay.
He ends up in high school at Deerfield High School. And he was like a 100-meter, 200-meter track star. Dude, his track speed is out of control. Like, 10 in the 100.
Holy smokes.
And I think he was a 20.79 in the 200.
But that's cooking, because I know like 10.37 is like super fast.
Yes. So the film, he's an X receiver because he's 6'2", 210. But he kind of runs 2 or 3 routes.
Yeah.
He's a little raw. However, they had terrible quarterback play last year. He was a redshirt freshman. He didn't come on until late. He's eligible for the draft this year. I think he's got 1,200 yards in him this year. Stanford's playing now in the ACC. Excuse me. I think they're going to play from behind a lot.
Yeah.
I think the kid's going to eat up the ACC. I think if he develops so this is where, you know what? I don't know the receiver coach on Stanford if he's any good. I know he's not Alabama and Ohio State. But if this coaching staff can coach him up a little bit, because the speed and the athleticism and the size is all there. Dude, you got to watch him this year. I'm big. I have him in number 9 in my Devy rankings.
Really?
And watch him and Travis Hunter go to war. Just watch it. Dude. Because I know, I'm 98% sure Travis Hunter's a chirper. I think he talks a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I'm telling you, I think Ayamanor was chirping back at him, dude. I'm telling you got to watch. Like, here's the thing, like, I wish they had the little microphones.
Oh, mic'd up that day. Yeah.
Oh, dude, I'm telling you, that second half. Dude, watch it. But he was good all year. But he does need more routes. He does need to improve. I'm not foolish, but he is a boundary receiver.
Right.
He is. So if he can diversify it a little bit. But you know what? There's guys in the NFL who run 5 routes and are perfectly okay. I don't think DK Metcalf runs the most sophisticated route.
I was going to say, DK can't even run in 3 routes. It was very adamant. He runs 5 now, but...
Wasn't the big joke Marvin Harrison literally ran 3 routes on the right side of the field for like a 12-year career? Like literally the same 3 routes.
Yep. But you couldn't stop it, so what did it matter how many routes he could run? If you can't stop the routes, you can't stop the routes.
Yeah, so I would like to see an expansion of the route tree. But again, is it him or the lack of creativity in the coaching staff, right? You don't necessarily know.
Yeah, you need a little more out of Tyler Osborne, the wide receiver coach for Stanford. And then, come on, packages, get something different. But is Daniels, it's Ashton Daniels is the QB.
Yeah,
correct?
Ashton Daniels.
I liked his fact that he's more of a mobile QB so he can extend plays. I really like Cedric Irvin as a running back out there. I think he's going to be a dude. So, again, I sounds reiterated, but that play action setup, he's a deep ball guy. He's a contested catch guy. I'm with you. I think if he can polish up what he's got, maybe add to the bag.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this. I haven't watched every route, but I watched a ton of him. He's not running a lot of cheap wide receiver screens, dude.
No,
like, he's not getting any freebies out there. So, like with a little coaching help, maybe run a screen or a quick slant for the young man. At
10-10? Come on, man. Get that guy close the ball quick. Let him go.
Yes. Like,
watch some film, guys.
Like, please watch some film. Can I send you 10 highlights and Demarius Thomas on a quick screen? Like, come on, gentlemen.
Oh, man.
Get your playmakers easy catches sometimes.
Right. Get him cooking early.
That's not happening.
No. If you get him cooking early, right now he's in the groove. Now he feels good.
Yeah.
Right? Now what happens? Safety or the cornerback might bite up a little bit. Start to play some press. Well, you got that speed. All you need is one little saucy move. See ya.
Nino, he averaged 16.3 yards a catch on the outside in a bad offense.
And what was his ADOT? It had to be at least 12.
I don't even know that. I'm sure it's very good.
It had to have been 12. But he was a downfield demon. Like, everything he did was downfield. There wasn't. So, like, I think if they can get the kid more targets, shorter, keep the downfield stuff, but you get a couple. If it was just 5 or 6 targets in the under 10 yards, hey, now we got something cooking.
Yes. So he's my guy to watch.
I love it. You guys, the viewers at home, go. I'm gonna mess up the name. Say it again.
It's Alec.
Yep.
Manor.
Yeah. See, I would have messed that all up. I know. I just knew as Alec. That's all I knew. He had the wrong name.
I'm preferring to say EA.
EA. Yeah, EA. He's in the game, right?
He's in the game. Yeah. Oh, that's all. Oh my God! What a tagline,
right?
Oh,
he's in the game.
EA, he's in the game.
Call me up, bro. I'm with you. Let's go, John. It's been a pleasure. I appreciate you coming on, talking football with me in CFB Nation. Before I let you go, tell the people where they can find your work.
Excellent. All the Devy stuff that Nino and I have been talking about, it's on Player Profiler. There's 3 articles up, and all of them have links to all of my Devy rankings in the early model. The Devy model isn't as complex as the final NFL draft prospect model because then I employ more statistics. There's a bigger amount of time. So, like, if you look at Jeremiah Smith, he has no stats. He's a freshman. So there's a couple guys that know stats in there. But you do see how I rank them, what grade they are. I have them color-coded if they're first, second, third round level right now. They don't have a color. That probably means they're a day 3 value. We have to see where they're going to go in the future. Oh, but I have running backs, quarterbacks, tight end class is bad. Another story for another day. Oh, my God, dude. But I have quarterbacks, everything. Check that out on Player Profiler.
My man is elite. They don't call him the Gridiron Scholar for nothing. Go check out his work. It just like a sponge. You will soak up all the knowledge my man is putting out there for you over at Player Profiler. John, I appreciate you. Once again, CFB Nation, CFB Prime. We out.